And we're live. Yes, we are. What a dominant, one sided thrashing this was. We were expecting a competitive match. Real Madrid somehow maybe being able to do the impossible, pull off one of those miracles they're so well known for. Yeah, none of that happened.
And that's because I think Shane City didn't allow Real Madrid even a sniff in this match. Yes, you could say that Real did have some moments in the second half, but across two legs, uh, City the better team, no doubt about that. The surprising part, though, for me is the final scoreline. You were
Hmm.
like somewhere you knew City were going to be dominating the ball. City, perhaps as many would sort of have pegged them to be the better team. But for them to put on a display like that and tear Real Madrid into shreds, if I can say the
Yeah.
least, I don't think we were expecting this.
No, we definitely weren't expecting this at the slightest. And I think it just goes to show you, this Real Madrid side, they're definitely nearing the end of a cycle. And I mean, this was a very ordinary display because, again, if you were watching that match and you didn't know which team was which, and if you just knew that, okay, City are a good side, if you didn't know who Real Madrid were, you'd be forgiven for thinking this Real Madrid side were, in fact, some sort of a mid table Premier League side. That's what they were made to look like, did I?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where I think a lot of the credit, by the way, Shane, I really, I don't know if you heard those chants, neither could I, but I'm pretty sure we've seen the last of Carlo Ancelotti as well. I'm pretty sure we're not going to see much of him next year, that too with Real Madrid. What do you say?
Yeah, it seemed like the Real fans were definitely not happy. And I think, considering the fact that, well, they've already lost La Liga to Barcelona, their eternal arch rivals, and, they've only won a Copa del Rey. But is that enough? I doubt. Truth be told, it
Real,
wouldn't be surprising.
never enough with Real, you feel. Never enough. And that
Exactly.
let's not forget that there are already talks of Brazil getting, or rather offering Carlo Ancelotti or touching base with him. That's also out
Hmm.
there. Don't forget.
Yeah, he's denied those links multiple times, but I think, yeah, at this point he may as well probably be the one reaching out to them the second time around because I think he's going to be finding himself jobless very, very soon.
But I don't know. I don't know how you look at this. There's clearly, if you look at a silver lining for Real Madrid, I don't think there's a silver lining,
No.
especially given this match. I think, though the match, I think where it was won and lost, I think very clearly it was that on that right flank for Manchester City because there was only one winner in that Camavinga versus Bernardo Silva battle
Yeah,
which was going on. You thought, earlier in that Bernabeu leg, it was more about how Kyle Walker would be countering Vinicius Jr. That was an interesting
absolutely.
match. But today, there's just one winner in that battle on that right hand side, where Bernardo Silva, with his work rate, with the whatever little times that he were asked to let's say track back as well, he was brilliant. But going forward, well, Camavinga was always playing catch up.
Yeah, and I'm rather surprised. And I know, again, I'm saying this with the benefit of hindsight, but even during the middle of the match, I kept thinking, I'm like, they're starting with Alaba. And you have Alaba, someone who's played at left back before. Would it not have made more sense to start with Rudiger alongside Militao at centre back and push Alaba out wide? Because again, I think that would make more sense. Bernardo was making hay and the sun was shining throughout. Again, so many of those attacks came from that point, whether it be Bernardo, cutting in to make a pass, whether it him be beating Kamavinga, drawing out Kamavinga. At this point, in fact, Kamavinga, I mean, he just looked he was run ragged, and it wasn't surprising in the second half that they did in fact make that substitution. You saw Rudiger come on, they pushed Kamavinga into midfield, but by that point, I mean, the game was done and dusted. You were 3-0 down. It didn't really matter what changes you made at that point in time.
Absolutely. And Real Madrid, when they look at this, see, they knew they were going to be playing probably the best team on the planet right now, and it was always
Yeah.
going to be an uphill task for them. But I think where they'll be more disappointed is as Real Madrid that it was rare to see a Real Madrid side be dominated the way they were today, and which is why I think this match will be talked about for a lot in the future because you don't see Real being decimated the way they do today, the way they got today, and this is where if you let's say even as a neutral, let's say if you're watching the match, this becomes a memorable match going forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, as I said, City just they were dominant from ball from minute one, and it was two things. It was one, of course. Look, we know for a fact their possession game at this point it's so drilled into their heads that they can probably play it with their eyes closed. But beyond just the possession in that regard, was also their off the ball pressing. Off the ball, their pressing was absolutely next level because every single time they lost possession, they looked to make it a point to actually, win back possession in 3 to 4 or 5 seconds at best. And more often than not, they were able to do that. So I think that was another thing. They weren't giving Real a chance to breathe. What is it that we say with Real that they're so good at? They're so good at hitting you with those lightning speed counter attacks. City didn't give them a chance to counter attack because every time they lost possession, 3, 4, 5 seconds, they won the ball back. So Real Madrid are left chasing shadows throughout the match. And I think the player of the match for them has to be Thibaut Courtois because if it wasn't for him, this scoreline would have read even worse.
In fact, across both the legs, I would say, Shane, that
Yeah.
previous matches. Well, I remember he made some stunning saves. Even today, that Haaland header, or was it De Bruyne header? That sensational save that he
It
made.
was Haaland. Haaland.
Haaland header, then the Haaland one-on-one chance as well. So a splendid couple of saves from Thibaut Courtois. And across two legs, if your goalkeeper is the best player, then that just sums up the entire equation for you.
Absolutely, because their defense was, of course, constantly sitting back, and I kind of get that with the tactic. But the key was, and this is where I think I remember mentioning before, is that City are so good, they don't really need to overcompensate or overthink. In fact, I had said before the match that if Guardiola doesn't overthink, then this match is done. He did that. He named his best playing 11, strongest formation. Look, that's what they did.
He's been guilty of overthinking in the past, and he's
A
paid
lot.
a heavy price for it. But he didn't do any of that today. And you knew if City fielded the side that they did today, which was the best 11, by the way,
Hmm.
uh, you knew that Real were in for an uphill task. We thought that at some point, because Real being Real, given their obsession and love for this tournament and this particular league, you
Hmm.
expected throw or land some punches, but City had snuffed out every bit of threat that they could have posed even before the match began. And for and a little change that I saw today at the Etihad, and maybe Shane, you can also reflect on
Hmm.
that. Is that the Etihad for once was loud?
It was loud. It was full. You didn't see a single empty seat anywhere. They were cheering on the guys. And credit to them, they made it a good atmosphere. I think that also probably played on Real's head a little bit because again, they needed to kind of silence the crowd, but they were not able to do that at all. Truth be told. And just a minute, whilst we add Nikhil to the stream. Nikhil, you've joined us. And initial thoughts. What a game that was.
Incredible game, yeah. I don't know if you guys remember, we do our cricket predictions. I don't know if you
Hmm.
remember my prediction. I predicted 3-0. I said it'd
Yeah.
be 2-0, 3-0, all the way Manchester City. What is the lone boy who predicted Real Madrid to win? How's he doing?
There was no way I was gonna go for a Man City win. But even though, of course, it was head versus the heart lost.
Yeah, but incredible, City. And that too, by the way, my prediction was based on the fact that I thought Haaland will come to the party. He didn't quite, actually. Had a quiet
He was
game.
denied by Courtois.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
He
what I was
almost
saying.
joined the party. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Koto was brilliant in the first 20 minutes and then in the second half as well, made a couple of very good saves. So Koto was brilliant, yes, all throughout. But so was the City keeper, yeah. I mean,
Edison, yeah.
Yeah.
in the second half when Real Madrid came out to play, it looked like that, they had a lot more energy about them, bit of tactical changes, looked very sharp in that second half, but at that time they needed some good goalkeeping, so which came to the fore. But I mean, overall, if you look at it, uh, people might say that Real Madrid didn't play to their potential. I mean, but then others would argue that I don't think City allowed them to play to their potential. So that was one thing. I mean, one of those contests which we saw earlier as well, Walker versus Vinicius. Once again, yeah, he just dominated. I think there's a 10-year age difference between the two of
Yes.
them, and yet Walker, man, the quicker of the two, and this is a quick Vinicius Junior. I mean, so
Hmm.
overall they were incredible. And what I mean, I'm a Barcelona fan, so what it did
Double
was
delight.
No. Actually, no. I don't get any pleasure, by a lot of people that Madrid has lost, so I'll get more pleasure. No,
Hmm.
not that. But I tell you what it actually did was it actually rewound the clock for me, and it reminded me of those Barcelona Real Madrid contest when Pep Guardiola was around, because those days also you would have the short passes, possession, tiki taka sort of
Hmm.
game versus Real Madrid's counter attack and long balls. And that's exactly what we saw this time. It was possession football by City, and Real Madrid tried to play that fast game or the fast counter-attacking long ball game that they play. So it was pretty much rewinding the clock. It's just that there were two different clubs rather than Barca Madrid, but the philosophies were as distinct as it used to be when Madrid and Barcelona played. So, I mean, it reminded me of those few a decade ago when Pep was around. But yeah,
Yeah.
a one-sided game. I mean, never count Real Madrid out, but this time you'd have to say that City were a far superior team.
Yeah, I think they
But
didn't let Madrid settle at
doesn't it
all
get
into
better?
this match.
Doesn't it get better for you to see what you saw today as a Barcelona fan, given that you just sealed the league a couple of days back?
No, so that's why I say I do not. I mean, I know there are a lot of people who are like this, right? I mean, City fans get happy even when their team is not playing, but United end up losing, or Liverpool fans
Hmm.
get happy when United lose, and I know a lot of Barcelona fans get happy when. But honestly, no. I only care about my club. If they end up doing well, I'm happy. If their arch rivals don't do well, I it doesn't really affect me so long as my club's not playing. How does it matter whether they go on to win or lose? Today I'm happy because I'm a Guardiola fan. So with that connection, I wanted the team that Guardiola is coaching to do well. But had it not been a Real Madrid, had it been anybody else, I'd still be backing the Pep Guardiola team and want them to do well. So I don't derive any sort of extra pleasure that Real Madrid has lost just because they are arch rivals of Barcelona. But yeah, on the league front, they've been terrible in the league. And
Yeah.
but that's the thing with Madrid. They can be terrible in the league, and yet when it comes to Champions League, they're just on a different level. I mean, truth be told, they are cut above the rest in Champions League. They are the best club in Europe. History suggests that. I've won the league more times than anybody else. So overall, if you look at it, they've been outstanding. This was as one of those rare occasions where they were completely outplayed. So league, yes, I was happy that Barcelona have won, and after a long gap, Barca has won, and also because it's the start of the Xavi phase, and if you've been a Xavi fan, you would want Xavi, the manager, to have a good start, because if he does not have a season or two which are great, then his managerial career may just come to an end. So you want him to have a long managerial career. For that, he needed to start well, and has won the league in his first season. So I'm happy on that front. But for Madrid, it could be that one-off year where they don't win a trophy at all, because I think they're in the Copa del Rey final, but that
Yeah.
hardly counts. So it's mostly the league, and then it is the Champions League. So they've lost the league, well in advance, with 3-4 games still to play, and you're out of the Champions League at the semi-final stage, not playing the final. That could be disastrous. I, in fact, remember one season where Ancelotti won the Champions League, could not win the
Hmm.
league or anything else, and he was kicked out of Madrid after a season of winning the Champions League. And what happens to Ancelotti, who's back at Madrid, doesn't win the league and the Champions League? Does he stay? I mean, going by history, if he won the Champions League, he didn't stay. I
He's
don't know
done.
whether he's still on.
He's done.
Yeah.
He's
In
done.
fact,
He's
just
done.
before you joined, Shane and I were just talking about that only. If
Mm.
we've actually seen the last of Carlo Ancelotti in the Champions League with Real Madrid, because as harsh a club as Real Madrid can get when it comes to managing the top boss. We've seen it in the past. There've been managers who won the Champions League, who won the league, but lost to Barcelona across both legs, and then they've been sacked. So
Yeah.
that's how that's how cruel they can be when it comes to picking their managers or having them in place. But what a decimation again. There's only so much you can say for Real Madrid, but then there's actually, you can go to talk about so many things that Manchester City did right tonight.
I think in
Yeah.
hindsight, what you can say about Real Madrid is that that team last year, which ended up having all those miraculous comebacks, In every leg. They had it against PSG, they had it against Chelsea, they had it against Man City. That was pretty much like the last embers of this particular great side. I think now they're at that point where they need a rebuild and they're well aware of it. I mean, if you look at the kind of signings they've made, an Aurelian Tchouameni, an Eduardo Camavinga playing woefully out of position today, but they're looking and targeting a Jude Bellingham. Kylian Mbappe is someone they're always targeting. I think they know, they're aware that the rebuild is needed, but you're also going to have to do it at a pace. You can't just chuck out 6 top tier level players, legends of the club, Cruz, Modric, Benzema. You're not throwing them out. So you're going to take it a little easy, but they also know, I think, that this was it. This was the end of that cycle. Now it's the time for them to start maybe building a new cycle. So I think you're going to see them go heavy this year in the transfer market, but the first payment that they're going to be making is a compensation to one Mr. Ancelotti. I think he's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, one of the finest managers in football. Outstanding managers. Great record. But I mean, Madrid, nothing less than a league or a Champions League is enough. Or as I pointed out, even winning a Champions League is sometimes not enough and you get chucked out. So
yeah, he won the Decima with them. Lest we forget. He had won the Decima and then he got sacked. So it doesn't really matter.
Yep. Lots of questions. One, I mean, as Aditya Mohanty is pointing out, if City does a treble, Alvarez gets a quadruple. That's true. The World Cup, it was just befitting that a World Cup winner comes and scores as well. A first touch, I think, of the game.
Yeah, it was his first touch, yes.
Yeah. Dex says now a treble is almost a guarantee. You guys agree?
Yes, because the league is pretty much sealed in their favor. I don't see them slipping up against Man United in the FA Cup final either.
I disagree because again, when you
obviously you would.
When you see the matchups, see it's been even Stevens. United have managed to win at home. City have managed to win the game at the odd game at Etihad. So it's going to be interesting. Yes, of course, City look the more they look the imperious side. Let's say they look the more confident outfit. But I know for a fact that Pep Guardiola in one of the many occasions that he's overthought. It's been against Man United as well, where he's tried to just tinker with his squad whenever he's been up against Man United. So there's something which happens to Pep Guardiola and the Man City team that just goes off when they face Man United over the last 3 years, taking that as the sample size, which is why I'd like to give Man United a fair chance as well.
You're the only one giving them a fair chance, because even Sanket Joshi in the comments, who's a diehard United fan, saying that even United fans don't think we're going to win that match. So full credit.
That's again,
Harshit is the optimist. He's a Delhi Capitals fan. He kept believing Delhi Capitals will make the IPL.
No,
you can't blame him. You can't blame him.
Correct.
With supporting clubs, I'm very clear when it comes to supporting teams, and this is one of my biggest grouses, let's say, that I had with Arsenal fans. They thought they were never going to win it, and I'm talking about that match against Manchester City when they visited the Etihad a couple of weeks back. They already thought that the game was lost. You can never go into the match thinking we're not going to be on the winning side, and if I'm a United supporter right now, I have reason to believe I won against Manchester City just about a month back at my home ground. So I've got no reason to not believe that we can't do it again.
Oh, the ever optimist that Harshit is. But I mean, and what about the Champions League final? So you've looked at the league, which is pretty much done, as you said. FA Cup, split opinion. What happens to the Champions League final? It's Inter. It's pretty much sealed for City. 1 of 5.
Yes. Because Inter, they've been good. But again, they're right now a top 4 side in Italy. They were nowhere near the league battle, although you can say that no one was. But even the next closest were like 17, 18 points away, and Inter were nowhere close. So the fact that they've made the final, I mean, full credit to them. They made it out of a very tough group. And, they actually made it through all the way to the finals. But they were aided by a nice draw. Let's also be fair to that. Very good draw they had.
I do concede that this is a final sealed already. City would feel that they not just have one hand on it, they have both the hands on it, I would feel. But Sanket also in the comments, I just read about him saying that, back then, that City United game I just referred to, he says that we had the likes of Lisandro Martinez and Varane. Varane, by the way, Sanket, I'm not too sure if you've been following the updates. Varane has been seen training. Rashford has been seen training. So if these two guys manage to be fit for that game, I'll give my team a a very good chance as well. And if you're a United supporter, I'd beg you to support as well, because you, again, as I said, you can't go into the match thinking that you don't have a good chance.
I'll be
read,
frank.
read Simmer
Chelsea.
Sani's
Sorry.
comment.
Can't seem to find that. Whose comment was that?
Simmer Sani.
Simmer Sani. United. It says United with Martial as a striker winning against City.
That's what I said. Rashford's back. So again,
I don't know. Look, Chelsea are playing City next in the league, and I have zero hopes that they're doing anything. In fact, I'm just glad that City won today, because if they didn't, then they would have taken out all their frustrations on us.
yeah, that would have been the fair. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even that can happen even now. That can happen even
No, of
now.
course. I have no hopes. That's what I'm saying. Quite frankly,
Could in
11th,
fact,
11th.
weekend could just be the perfect week for rather Manchester City. They would be probably sealing the title, and
Yes.
of course they've already made it to the final of the Champions League, which will be
Yeah, they just need one win now in the league, and that's it. It's confirmed. Done. Nothing Arsenal can do.
yeah.
Lovepreet Singh, our good friend, is here. He says, for him, Kevin De Bruyne is just a class apart. I'm a huge fan of Kevin De Bruyne.
He is.
I've said it before. He is an incredible all-round player. It's not just goal scoring. It's his vision, his passing, his work rate. By the way, all of it. Helping out in defense. Big fan of Kevin De Bruyne. And I must remind Shane that at one point he was a Chelsea player, wasn't he?
Yeah, thank you, Jose Mourinho, for that.
Yeah. What a player. He said, I mean, if you look at it overall, over the two legs, I know Bernardo had a great game today, but over the two legs, would you say De Bruyne was the player of the tie? Who else? I mean, Walker, yes, Walker too was outstanding.
Yeah.
But over the two legs, De Bruyne the player of the tie, or who?
Yeah, definitely. I think he was the person running the midfield, pulling the strings. He might not have been the one delivering the final passes, because that was more often than not that role was falling to Bernardo or Jack Grealish on the left. But De Bruyne was always that man buzzing, always in and around, taking shots, trying to make those passes, trying to make things happen. Yeah, that guy is amazing.
Yeah. The one player I was disappointed with, I mean, I'm not looking at so much at the strike force, Vinicius and Benzema for Madrid, but that's because I think City didn't allow them to play the game that they like, that counter-attacking game. Just didn't give them space to play that. Plus, they were quick enough to ensure that there are no those fast-paced counter-attack. But Camavinga, I think I thought that he could be that X factor for Madrid, and really be that guy who makes a change in the game. But a bit disappointed with how he turned out today. So
He was also
I guess
playing
that
out
was
of
one of the
position,
reasons.
to be told.
He was playing horribly out of
Yeah.
position. I mean, he was playing at left back, and truth be told, he shouldn't have been there, because Bernardo was making so much hay. It felt like there was no defender over there.
Yeah.
So ideally, they should have probably started with Alaba over there, who has some experience playing at left back. He used to play there for Bayern. Would have made more sense.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
and
who
I
would
think
forget that?
tactic-
Wasn't that Messi's turn, where he fell down and there was that?
Oh, that wasn't Alaba. That was Jerome Boateng.
Oh, that was Boateng. Yeah, that was
Boateng.
Boateng. Correct. That was Boateng. Yeah.
But also interestingly, this was a tactical change that happened from the last week to tonight's game. I think this time around the focus was a lot on playing and getting Bernardo Silva a lot into the game, because you saw City were just constantly playing the ball down to the right hand side, which is what we didn't see the previous in the previous leg. So that was again a tactical sort of a weakness that I'm sure they spotted over the first leg and ended up exploiting tonight.
Yeah, true. Oh, I mean, taking nothing away from Bernardo, I think those two goals were there for the taking. As in, there was nothing exceptional. Made possible by that teamwork or that vision that the team has, or that possession football that they played. Really exploited those gaps in the D. So made possible because of that. So, but again, I mean, as they say about goal scoring, right? You still have to put the ball in the net. So, and that's the major part. That's what win you game. So he did that, and to beat Courtois tonight anyway. even if it was a sitter, I think it just deserves a medal on its part anyway. So,
Absolutely. And truth be told, neither of those goals, both of them were very well taken because, yeah, first goal, he's
yeah.
in space, but he gave Courtois the eyes, thinking that he's going to curl it into the far post and slams it into the near. Courtois deceived. Second one, that loopy header totally took out the last man who was kind of standing on the line to maybe try and do a clearance. So it was actually very clever play from Bernardo.
Shane in that
Yeah.
first goal, he waited for him to go to the ground and then picked his spot.
Then,
Correct.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was just reading Gary Lineker's tweet. He says that maybe Silva may have just delivered them the goal this year.
Lineker's a funny man.
Yeah, he is. He is. I was just reading that. You've got Chill Out says special mention for the captain Gundogan. Yeah, he's always a big
Yeah,
match there.
phenomenal.
Tough guy. Tough
And
guy.
he's been in splendid form for the last 3 weeks, if I can say.
Yeah,
And is he going to Barcelona?
seems likely. Seems likely. His contract is up.
Yeah, could be. They need some experience alongside Pedri and Agavi, two youngsters.
Hmm.
Tough Gundogan, would work very nicely for them. He was good. There was a comment saying that I think I missed it about Rudiger. He says not starting with Rudiger was a clear blunder.
Yeah, because last time he outmarked Erling Haaland. So again, I didn't understand. And if you started with Rudiger today, then you would have been playing Alaba at left back. You'd have had Rudiger in the center. It was just there. I don't understand. It is actually a bad tactic.
Yeah, so all the talk about Guardiola overthinking, he really made it a point to point out that he was not going to be overthinking. That bug bit Ancelotti, I guess.
Yeah, it did. Because I think, tried to make a few tweaks here or there, which I don't think worked at all. In fact, the defense was struggling. The midfield were flat-footed. I didn't understand even the need to start with Rodrigo. He seems to work better as an impact sub.
Yeah.
So Rodrigo himself was very anonymous.
Which is what Sanket is saying. He says, I saw Rodrigo only when he was being substituted.
Yeah,
Never
correct.
when he started the game. Though I saw him, he made a couple of, I think he lost the ball once or twice. So I remember from that. Yeah. Yeah, but not quite. Not quite up to the mark. Imagine bringing on the World Cup winner with Foden and Mahrez. All money speaks volumes, in his opinion.
Yeah, but their squad depth is next level. No two ways about it.
It is. But, I'll say this in defense, not because I'm a Pep Guardiola fan. I know of a lot of clubs that have splurged and have got, the players that they want, and you can't still guarantee trophies. You've got to play well to win trophies. Doesn't matter whatever your depth or whatever players you fill in. I mean, the best example is PSG at the moment, right?
No, I'll give you a better example. Chelsea. Spent like 700, 800 million when the new owners, and you're 11th in the league.
Exactly. It happened, by the way, I was reading somewhere, maybe Harshad will come in, because at that time there was a lot of criticism. I think Mourinho was at United, and there was all talk about, City spending. But then I saw that season and the season after, I think the kind of money that they spent was almost the same. United City spent about the same amount of money.
Correct.
Absolutely. I think the money, the amount was around 650 million, if I'm not wrong. In fact, I was going through some of the numbers which suggested that as far as the net spend is concerned, United have outspent Man City as well. But again, it's a philosophy. I'd say it's not worked for United for all these years. For a decade now, we've seen you splurged money, you spent hundreds of millions on a single player. It's not worked. But on the contrary, I would say it probably hasn't worked out for, let's say, Chelsea at the moment, given the two windows that we've seen over the last 10 months. But let's say Chelsea have been that club who managed to produce results and managed to produce teams, that give you instant results. Man City also could be looked at, but again, what Pep Guardiola is doing right now, he's building a legacy. He's building teams that can last even, let's say, after he leaves. That's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, exactly my point. That's what I'm saying. And in fact, the other example is Barcelona too. I mean, after Pep left, and then there was a bit of a turmoil, and actually probably after Luis Enrique, you became, and that was not so much about coaching, but the management changing. They started becoming this club which was going to just splurge and just kept buying players one after the other, and there was so many rubbish buys where they just splurged, and it didn't really work out when it came to the field. Now they've kind of realigned themselves to playing the way they do, where you're going to work with local talents, and of course you will need one or two big players like they used to. I mean, they wouldn't splurge on everyone, but let's say signed one Ronaldinho and bring him to
Mm.
PSG, and then work around a star player with the rest of the talent that you have. And I think that philosophy kind of works better for certain clubs rather than just splurging. And I mean, yes, splurging and bringing on the Galacticos kind of works for Madrid. I think Madrid
Yeah.
tend to do well when they get a star-studded team. But each club to their own. So anyone saying that Guardiola, splurging money, lots of clubs splurge money. That's no guarantee of success. There's a lot that needs to be done to win football matches. If money was everything, you wouldn't have South American teams winning the World Cup, because
Mm.
eventually money would then guarantee success in the richer countries. The US of A's and China's of the world may have started dominating football for all you know, but it's not, right. It's
Exactly.
yeah. Want to take a couple comments before we wind up. Chila says maybe Pep doesn't need a Messi to win. You say, yeah, of course. I don't think he chased him much.
Mm.
He wanted to have his own legacy and work with the team, and he did that. Didn't quite achieve that success with Bayern Munich. I think twice he played Madrid, and both times he lost. But I was looking at his
Badly.
overall record, Pep Guardiola versus Real Madrid, and this is with those two losses that came with Bayern Munich. Also looking at Barca record and now record with City, I think he's played about 21 games and won 12 or 13 of them, and about 5 draws. So outstanding record. So if you won about 12, let's say, so 17 out of 21 is
Mm.
covered. He may have just lost about 3 or 4 games to them. Twice, 2 of them came when he was a Bayern
At Bayern.
manager. So yeah, I mean, that's an enviable record for any manager to have against the most successful club in Europe. So incredible
Mm.
numbers. Chale, I think you guys are done, given enough gyan.
Well, 12 more hours we'll be joining everyone anyway. So
Big match.
big match.
There will be a big match. Okay, Chalo, thank you guys for your company. All of you joining us in the night. I hope you had a good football game. I mean, as a neutral, I enjoyed watching it.
It was fun.
Yeah, good game of football. Final question we can answer: Ballon d'Or, who's taking it? I think it's a no-brainer,
Messi.
right? World Cup year, yeah. World Cup year, usually you pick a. I mean, that's been the case. At least a finalist of the World Cup or a World Cup winner usually ends up taking. So very rare
Correct.
for anyone else to.
Number 8 coming up.
Yeah. Number 8 is coming.
Number 8. Yeah. Yeah. Good night, guys. Take care.
Good night, everyone.